Well, today, if all goes right, I have no, I hope it will go right. After the fiasco last week with the thing dropping out, I got back in touch with Spectrum. They got on the line. Oh, yeah, we see something. Yeah, no wonder you're having troubles. We think we got it fixed. And that they were working on Saturday. And Sunday, my connection went totally dead. And it had to be rebooted by, remote control from wherever they do it. They sent me another modem, and knock wood, 5 days now, it's been doing okay. So we'll hope we do the best. I've been thinking about picking up where we left off. I don't know if you guys ever heard what happened with Disney and the BBC for World War II. The BBC was airing a Disney cartoon, and the order came through from the War Department. You have to take the transmitters off the air right now because the Germans were using it to triangulate onto London to bomb it. So they stopped in the middle of this Mickey Mouse cartoon. So they have 6 years of World War II. They come in back line, and the announcer says something like, and now we return to our program that was so rudely interrupted. And they started at the exact same point in the Mickey Mouse cartoon. I thought that was a clever bit. So, but I had a whole bunch of others that I just finished. Maybe we'll go back to Fort Ticonderoga another time. For the kiddie parks of the Adirondacks, I don't know how many, anybody ever besides me go up to any of them?
Frontierland, Santa's Workshop, yeah.
Oh, great. Well, you're going to see some of them today. There's a really great book out by published by Arcadia Press, the one that does my World's Fair books, Kiddie Parks of the Adirondacks. And there were, so I thought I knew them all, and I went through that and said, I don't remember that one. There were parks everywhere. Back in the 50s, these things just exploded. And a lot of it took off with a guy named Charlie Wood. He had decided to build an amusement park in Lake George, New York, called Storytown U.S.A. And it started doing really well. And other people started building parks. And there was a fellow up in a small little town called Upper J, New York. His name was Ardo Monaco. Ardo, if you've ever been to Upper J, it's a beautiful little area in the middle of nowhere. But Ardo had been up there, and a bunch of Hollywood type and Broadway people had come up and had summer places up there, get away from the city. And he was making all of these small toys and odds and ends. And this Hollywood crowd said, "Oh, you ought to go to work in the industry." So he came out and he worked for Disney, Warner Brothers, and others. And he had a real knack for making little mechanical wooden toys. And he got a job as a prototype maker for Mattel. So if you've ever played the game of Connect 4 or Connect 5, whatever it's called, he made the prototype for that. Actually made the prototype for Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Huh.
He went to Charlie Wood and said, "Hey, I'm going to build a theme park up here in Upper J, and would you mind if I use the same name you use, Storytown, because I want to make it all about fairy tales?" And Charlie Wood, in his biography, said he got incensed and outraged, and Ardo said, "No problem, I'll call it something else." It became the land of make believe. And they ended up becoming good friends, and Monaco built attractions and things for quite a few other parks, including two of Charlie Wood's and others. So I have a number of them today. Let me get the first one queued up. Let me get this started. So I'm going to start up here. We're going to work our way all over the place, up, down, back, forth, and everything. But we're going to start up in Lake Placid, New York. Let's see, share screen. Here we go. Optimize for video. We don't have sound. Okay. So hopefully you see Lake Placid, New York.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. This is a place called Land of 1,000. It was just called 1,000 Animals. At different times, they went by the name Home of, House of, Land of, but the formal name was 1,000 Animals. And this started back in the 1920s as a mink farm. So they were growing all the minks for all the people to make mink coats. And then, of course, along comes the Great Depression, and people stopped buying mink coats. So the guy was very entrepreneuring. He decided to get some other animals and open up as a petting zoo. According to the local joke up there, the Land of 1,000 Animals consisted of one goat, one cow, one deer, and 997 mink. But it was up there for quite a while. It closed about the year 2000, but it was very popular because it was the first of these parks that you would hit as you came across the border from Canada. So they're out in the parking lot. She's standing next to the machine here. Put a quarter in and get the food to feed the deer. It's and the sign that's up there is you'd really like to make a contribution to feed all these deer, and they eat so much feed per day and everything. Thanks, signed Rudolph. There's the sign there. But this is pretty good. You get people suckered in out in the parking lot before they even paid to come in, and then you go in, and then there's all sorts of other machines for a quarter here and a nickel there, and things. Oh, this is a great one. It's Chris's Motel, done with a Santa theme. This place, Thousand Animals, later was known as I think it was Nick's Thousand Animals. Like I said, it changed. It closed about 2000, and the main building is still there. And now they said it's the home of 1,000 antiques. It's a antique store. So these were great fun to go to as a kid. Growing up in Brooklyn like I did, we certainly didn't have many opportunities to pet deer or goats or anything like that. So to get up and go out there was great fun. The thing that I was remembering as I looked through all these movies is how many of the parks just had dirt paths and dirt trails. Everything wasn't paved and slurried over. You really felt like you were out in the woods, because you were. You had the smell of all the pine trees and everything. Hopefully that masked out some of the smell of the 1,000 animals. But they were great fun to go to. Huge sign when you came into Lake Placid. Big concrete base, home of 1,000 animals. Welcome to Lake Placid. I understand that base is still there, but the sign is something totally different these days. And that building is, like I said, still there, but it's an antique store now. No place on earth like this. And you can see the Adirondacks in the background. It's a really beautiful area. If you are ever back in the East Coast and have some time to spare, I really recommend going up there. Carol, who's just joining us, and I will be up there in September. And it's so you look at all the machines, get the money, feed the animals. Pull the can down, put the cookie in the can, and slide it down the ramp to the bear.
So they were giving the bears cookies.
Yep. Now they had a thing coming up here that they were very, very well known for getting bears to climb up to this tower. Somebody posted a video of what they thought was all of Storytown, and somebody said, "Oh no, the beginning part was Storytown, but the later part, as soon as they saw the bear, that's 1,000 animals." So there's the can. You put a cookie in there, and the bear sees it, and he goes running up to the top. And now he's pretty smart. Starts pulling the can up. Isn't that pretty clever?
That is cool.
Yeah, he gets up there. He's a cookie. Come on, send me another one up. Then they expanded over time. Besides just having the animals, they put in a couple small rides. It seemed that almost all these parks is obligatory to have a train ride, a ferry castle. You saw a lot of similarities between them. But if you were 8 years old, you didn't care. The train is a train, right? So we could go to the monkey's house. That's not for people. That's so the animals can run across and entertain you. There's a small place out here near us which has all you pick your own fruit orchard, berries and things like that. And they have a bunch of goats, and they have a bridge that goes up and across the petting zoo area like that. So the goats can run up there. And another good way to get you to part with your money is put a wishing well in, right? So first throw the money in there. Industrial bear feeding. Some buffalo, we'll get a closer look at them. So this place lasted almost 70 years as a petting zoo and farm. That's a pretty good long run. I always try to figure out where they put the animals during the winter because Lake Placid, if you're familiar with the area at all, it's where they had the Winter Olympics, and definitely not the sort of area that these monkeys and other things would be uh, real comfortable with. So during the winter, the bison would be fine, but a lot of the others, they had to have someplace they put them. I guess this was where they put them in the monkey house. That's a clever one. The Elk Club, not the Elks Club, but the Elk Club. Bachelor's Lodge up in the one building. As next bit, you wish you could go back in time with a big stick and start hitting somebody. You'll see in a second. I haven't picked one of these up on your trail cam yet, have you, Don?
No, no elk, I'm afraid. Still waiting for
I
my bear.
noticed a loudspeaker on one of the buildings. Did they have music?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't remember. Probably announcements. Don't forget, come and feed the animals. Yeah, they might have had background music or come and see the show. A lot of these places would have periodic animal shows, trained birds and that sort of thing. Matter of fact, we'll see that in one of the others. The sign goes by quick in the picture, but they're talking about how the lynx were born and bred there.
So a small cage for those poor kitties.
All these pictures, by the way, I did a lot of editing on it. I see some scenes I could also take out, but they would not realize they were trying to film through the fence and not realize that the viewfinder was looking through the fence, but the lens, which was slightly off, was getting a nice solid picture of 30 seconds of wood rail, things like that. And every 1.5 minutes or so, there'd be a splice, and I took those out. You could see at various times the light off to the left as you take the film, you'd run it, you'd have to be someplace dark theoretically, flip it over, do the other half of it, because it was 16 millimeter film running through the camera, which then when you get it developed, they spliced in half. Enjoy a Lana ride. I'm not sure what a Lana is. I know what a llama is. But sometimes people would change their film and it wouldn't quite be 100% light sealed, and you end up with the little flares off to the side. A bunch of otters. One of the caretakers at our Boy Scout camp had a trained otter, and it was the star of Disney show Splash the Teenage Otter, and it was amazing the things that that otter would do on command. Too backlit to read it. Danger in French too. Some of the ones you definitely would not want to feed by hand.
Nope.
Well, this one, I love the guy. Look at what he's doing. I think he's spraying DDT. Because back then it was safe, right? Nobody knew it. And a legacy back to the early days of the mink farm. But the guy's out there, he's spraying that thing around. He doesn't have any sort of mask on. The public's right there. It doesn't matter. Let's just go and spray DDT all over the place. So let's go. Let's see. You mentioned you went to Frontier Town, Don. Let's go. That was one of the big parks of the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's still some left of it. I think you said you went there after
Yeah.
it closed.
Frontier Town was about an hour north of Lake George, and it was a really great place to go to. We're going to see another Western town in here today that just doesn't compare, but Frontier Town really did it up big. It closed back in the 90s. Oh, by the way, look at the bumper sticker, Frontier Town. As soon as you pulled into these parking lots, there were people at the front that would put these things on your car. And back then you had bumpers that, had a physical space between the car and the bumper. So they would put those things on with wires that would go around and lace on it. And you'd know somebody had been up in the Adirondacks because they'd have 5 or 6 of these things stuck on their car. They were great advertising. And then they went to the stick-on ones that people didn't like as much because the fake Porsches riding. You couldn't get those off the car as easy. But yeah, Frontier Town closed in the 90s, reopened for a year or two, and then finally closed. It's a pretty labor-intensive operation when you see the size of some of the shows and skits that they did. It sat there idle for 20-something years with all this promise that it was going to be redone. And then a few years ago, the state of New York put money into it, and they've opened up the main building that was there is now open as a gift shop and restaurant again. And the major thing is you can do a camping there. So they don't have the big shows and everything like they had here, and a lot of the buildings are still run down. Carol and I had gone back one time, I forget how many years ago it was, and we drove into it and it had signs about, no trespassing. So of course we drove in, and you could see a lot of the old buildings out in the brush, a church sticking up, or a different type of buildings, an old jail or whatever. But the area was having quite a problem with ticks, and we really didn't have any great desire to go and wander through the underbrush. As we were driving along, one of the culverts collapsed under the road we were on, and we realized this road better continue going, having another way out, because there's no way I'm going to get back across that now giant ditch in the road. Luckily, it did continue to go. But this was, as I said, a pretty good sized operation, because you have to do something to keep people entertained for quite a while. Being an hour or so more of Lake George, if you drove up there, for an hour with the kids screaming in the car, "Are we there yet?" And you get up there and there was only 10, 15 minutes worth of something to do, people would not be happy and they wouldn't come back. So you had the big rodeo here. A lot of these guys work there and then their kids will end up working there. You can imagine in one of these areas, and not a lot of job opportunities up in some of these hamlets, particularly even less so now. I mean, you go by and there's all these closed motels just, out of business, and shut restaurants. So you don't even have those jobs and everything. But back in the 50s and 60s, this was a very, very popular area to go to.
Yeah, it was still, I lived in Vermont in the 70s, and it still was, they advertised a lot in the 70s for all these parks and things. Try to get people to come up.
Yeah. It all
Bill,
changed.
Is there a date on this film?
This is 1965.
Okay, because it looked like that was a 48 star flag almost.
Well, it might be with the cavalry.
Well, it could be there. No, I meant the one that's flying over the arena.
Oh, over the arena.
Yeah, it looked like it was the straight, not the intermittent, how the rows
Right.
shifted.
I noticed that too. They're all perfectly aligned
Yeah.
instead of offset.
Maybe they got a good deal on it. This guy, obviously a Charlie Weaver takeoff.
That's a rather well-fed horse.
Plow horse, I think. Yeah, this is 1965.
Maybe they didn't make enough money doing this to buy new flags when they came out.
Yeah. Never picked up the ability to do anything with a rope myself. I mentioned we would camp at a dude ranch, and it was a guy who would play around with one of the ropes, and he was pretty good at throwing out and catching things with it, but I don't think he ever got into the dancing through the loop bit either.
You have to have very strong arms.
I bet you do.
Yeah, you do. This was started by a guy by the name of Texas Jack Omohundro, and he performed on the stage with Buffalo Bill, and he could do that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's neat. Look at me, everybody clap. I'm lying under a bull. So now he's doing a great magic act out there. Yeah, this place is only open this summer. You wonder what these people did for the rest of the winter when they're not riding bulls.
They could go to Arizona or California and
Yeah,
ride the rodeo circuit.
yeah, that's true. They could go someplace else. Then they had a large Indian village here. Obviously, we see there's going to be some dancing in that. I don't know how many stars that flag has on it, even less. But you see, they got some pretty good sized crowds out of this place.
Oh, he's doing a hoop dance.
Yep. What was interesting in this reel of film, as he would change the reel, flipping it over, every now and then he would evidently get something wrong with the exposure and would come out extremely overexposed. I had to do a lot of work in the editing program, and then you get he flips it over, and now everything's okay. So how they were making the mistakes they were making, I don't know, but it became a challenge to try to deal with some of the light levels. Like here, this section was very, very overexposed. Wish we had sound. You can see in the mountains in the background how unspoiled the area is. Just, it's miles and miles and miles of trees.
And these days, no restrooms or gas stations.
Yes, yeah, there's very, very long space between some of them.
Yes.
I tell you, when I was going up state, I drove through this area to go to college, and there were times when it was nothing but two ruts in the snow going off into the distance, and you keep thinking, boy, I hope I make it up there because nobody gonna find me if anything goes wrong. So the cavalry's run out, and they're bringing back the settlers. As I said, a lot of people in these shows. Now I can remember as a kid going up there for the first time. I was about 6 or 7, and it was just really neat that the cavalry came in. Because back then the TV show The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin and stuff, and these guys came running in on the horses with their flags out and everything. It was really a big deal. Then they would invite kids to be part of the show. Stay close in the path. There's renegade Indians in the area. So now you go up to the fort and they have another show. So they had several different places. You had the big corral where animals were. You had the Indian dance area. And now you go up to the stockade fort. And you can see they've asked all the kids to come out and help and line up, looking down at
Actually,
the ground.
there were very few forts like that.
Yeah,
Most of them open.
right.
Fort
But
Apache, that's a fort. But
this fits the Hollywood image, right?
yeah, yeah, this is Hollywood. Oh, right.
So the kids are
This
all
was
lined up ready
real
to help.
popular during the 60s. I mean, the cowboy TV shows were everywhere.
Yeah. Like I said, that's the main part of it down below. And then um, in later years, it became absolutely totally overgrown. And as I said, in most of these places,
Stagecoach.
what's that? Yep, yeah, we have a stagecoach, and then these places all have to have a stagecoach and a train. Lefty,
Get a
Sneaky
ride.
Pete, yeah, Peg Leg Pete, which is cute. There's only one shoe sticking out of the grave.
This is like Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, I think they used a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Now we have to rob the train.
Oh, yeah,
Real
Knott's Berry.
happy about it.
Oh,
Don't shoot
Oh,
me,
we're
mister.
gonna get robbed.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if somebody did that today
Oh,
as a
yeah.
show, pointing a gun at a child? That would
6
be,
inches
you know,
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recently went to the Magic Kingdom and went to the fort on Tom Sawyer's Island, and they have the fort and they actually have the rifles still coming out and they make sounds, and it has a whole different vibe now. When you're shooting the guns, then I'm sure back in the day, right? It was more cowboys than Indians, and now with everything that happens in the world these days, it just felt really awkward.
They tore down that fort. It's no longer there. They put up a fake fort, and they keep the stuff from Phantasmic in it. So there's nothing like that at Tom Sawyer's Island anymore.
Oh yeah, this was at Walt Disney World in the Magic
Right.
Kingdom.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
maybe it's still there. Well, they're talking about they're going to put the Cars ride where the
Right.
Rivers of
Yeah,
America.
that was the reason why I went over there. They actually have a lot of stuff still on the Magic
Yeah.
Kingdom version, the caves and all that great stuff. It's nice.
yeah. Word is they may reconsider the cars right now because people are
I think they're
pushing
crazy.
back heavy on losing the Rivers of America. So we'll see. Seems like a silly idea to do it in the first place. So
Yeah.
Agreed.
Come on, get me out. And then, as I mentioned, you have to have a train.
I wonder if any of these places had trains before Walt put his in at Disneyland.
Actually, it was Walter Knotts who had the first train,
Ah,
and he brought it in from Colorado or something. There's a lot of money, but he got it there. And then, of course, Walt Disney loved trains, so he had them out at Disneyland too.
Mhm.
But Walter Knott got his trains in the early 50s, like 53 or something.
I didn't know that.
Now we've caught
Yeah,
the bad
well-
guys, and the sheriff is here, and they're going to testify and give him a trial, and I think he's going to be found guilty.
Well, the Walter Knott train was actually a full-size working railroad train where Walt Disney's were reproduction, smaller, scaled down.
Well,
Oh,
that's
trains.
Summer job.
Disney's were real trains, but yeah.
How's this for a summer job?
Oh, instead of hanging him, they're going to dunk him.
Yep.
God, what a horrible job.
Hey, if it's 90 degrees out, that might have been the best job you could get.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he floats, he weighs the same as a duck.
Yeah. Yeah. Must be a witch.
Yes, must be a witch, a Western witch.
And the kids are real happy. He's walking them in, and you may notice things go a little bit out of order. This because both the husband and wife had their own movie cameras and they spliced their films together.
Just a note, I'm seeing some freezing, but I think it's my computer.
Is it working okay for everybody else?
Oh yeah, it's really smooth here.
Oh,
Great.
good.
Any
Guys.
Yeah, very clear, very clear.
Very different than last week.
Yeah, except for my occasional freeze, the pictures are perfectly clear.
When this place closed down, they had a huge auction selling off all the props and buckboards and signs and everything like that. And there's different people up in the Adirondacks there that have parts of the stuff on display at their restaurants or things like that to try to keep some of the memory alive.
Hmm.
And the guy's got a double barrel shotgun. Let's point that at the kids.
So I recall this was right off the main highway through there. You could see it from the highway.
Oh yes, you could. It was right off the what's called the Northway. Goes from Lake George up to the Canadian border. Well, it goes from Albany up to the Canadian border. But yes, it was right off the freeway. And you always see the big sign.
Yeah, big honking sign with yellow letters. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, great fun. Like I said, sure that brought back some memories for you, Don.
Oh yeah, it was a fun place.
Let's go up to Upper J, New York, to the land of make-believe. And you notice it's one word, make-believe. There's actually a land of make space believe in New Jersey, and he came up with this name himself. And the guy again, his name is Arto Monaco, and he built quite a few things for Storytown, Gaslight Village, Enchanted Village, a whole bunch of other places. This was super overexposed. The beginning of it was the best I could get. This was on the fork of the Osable River, and when you look at these pictures, it's nice and peaceful. Well, when it rains, that thing can become a raging torrent. 11 different times during the time this was opened, they had significant flood damage. It opened in the early 50s. Finally, in 1979, a huge storm came down and absolutely destroyed this place. The few buildings that weren't destroyed got shipped off to Storytown in Lake George, and then it sat there for years as a total wreck. Then a bunch of people decided that they would try to at least restore the castle, which is one of the main structures still left, and they worked on it for years. I think the website went offline that they had, but they were talking about how thorns that were just unbelievable, that just trying to get to the castle you need chainsaws to cut your way through the thorns and everything. Unfortunately, in 2011 another major storm came through, and I think it was part of Superstorm Sandy or one of those, and absolutely destroyed anything that was left of the castle. It's heartbreaking to see just a pile of broken lumber left. So the town has been trying to raise money to put a placard there or something to honor Pardo and the park. I mentioned last week he did something that was really nice. He put a special hidden gate into the fence around the property so that any kids in the area could come in as anytime they wanted without having to pay for it. And I never met him, but everybody that has recollections of him said he was just a wonderful guy, that even after the place closed, he had hopes for years and years and somehow bringing it back. And he would go and make toys and give them away to people for Christmas gifts and stuff. But if he came into the shop, he would show you, here's a piece of this, I'm trying to bring that back. And he did so much of this by hand himself. After the big flood in '79, the stuff that wasn't ruined, like his train and that, got auctioned off and sold off. But I think, again, I was about 6 or so, 7 when we first went up here. And it was all based on fairy tales, the rub-a-dub, 3 men in a tub and that sort of thing. but it was just a sort of magical place. And they talk about how he made a big thing. He was on the grounds a lot, and he would encourage parents to sit back and just watch your kids enjoy themselves, and don't stop them from walking on the grass or doing things. They can go have fun and just be kids. So I would have liked to have met him. Like I said, he's got all the write-ups of him were very very nice. And some trains are real trains, or others are trams made to look like trains. They had both here. As I mentioned, everything is dirt. It kind of gives it part of the charm of course, Mom's in there with a cigarette, because it is 1965, of course. But everything wasn't paved over and sterile. Oh, this little boat, the Billabong Bell, you actually had to get a New York State pilot's license to take the boat out on the lake because you're going to be carrying passengers. So there's a site somebody did about Land of Make Believe, and they're proudly displaying their boat driver's license. Hmm. And this is interesting. Pick up your kids and put them over the fence, because the fence obviously is not there to keep you from touching the exhibits. Or to stop you from doing anything. Right. Yeah, it's interesting because when I was like out, bringing up stuff, doing something that is more happening, like my body starts to limit all this. Like, yeah.
Wow, so many details. It's incredible if that guy did all of this.
Yeah, he put a lot of time and effort into it. Yeah. 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 I'll send you the link. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of fun. Definitely agree with There's a neat thing coming here at the candy cane tree. There was a bucket of candy canes, and you were invited to come up and take one. Then they added this other area here, Dawson City, and this was his version of a Western town. Yeah. Yeah. Now and then we drop and pick up. This is very much like Knott's too, right, Kendall?
Nuts didn't have the castle. That was more Disney, but
No,
yeah,
the figures on the bench.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
There,
Knott's
as
had
far as I
those
know.
figures for 50 years. They
Yep.
still there.
And this is kind of neat. You go off on a wagon ride out into the woods, and today, of course, you'd have to be in a high-speed thing and turned upside down. But back then in the 50s and 60s, getting in a horse-drawn wagon for a Brooklyn boy, that was a great adventure.
Ooh, animatronics.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland ride. Kind of neat little electric boat ride going around. Tweedledee and Dum. Off with her head. It's the Boot Hill Boys. The guy riding side saddle on the train scares me.
Train's moving along at a pretty good clip.
Yeah. No vacancy for actors and believers, because remember, this is the land of make-believe. There's the castle in its heyday. Like I said, it was so sad to see the pictures of it just totally scrap lumber lying in a giant heap. The volunteers put a lot of effort into it for about 5 years. They would do annual updates of what they had done, and we've redone this turret and that sort of thing. And said it was in a remarkably good shape for having been abandoned for 20 years until the other storm came through and did it in. And we're going to leave the land of make believe, but take a look at one more show, and he goes. Okay, to give you a comparison of how things could be done differently, here's another theme park, Western Town. This one's called Carson City and Indian Village, and this is in Catskill, New York. Oh, excuse me, right where Catskill Game Farm is. And this one lasted a lot longer than I would have expected. This film, by the way, was super, super dark, so it's a bit on the grainy side. But if you compare this to Frontier Town, the Last Chance Saloon was their main part of entertainment. They did a dance hall girl routine inside. But here we're going to see getting ready for a show. And oh, everybody's dead. But then they're not. They're going to get up. But I mean, you look around here, there's nowhere near the size of the crowds that they had at Frontier Town, and there's nowhere near the size of the property. We certainly are not going to see 10 cavalry troops come riding in or anything. But amazingly, this place lasted quite a while. It opened in about 1954 or so, and closed around 1990 something. So it lasted a while. The county that it's in tried to, I think they got it by taxes in the eminent domain, and they had a county fair there 2 years, and then decided that the county fair wasn't bringing enough people and make it worth the upkeep of all the buildings and everything. So as I understand that there's one or two of the buildings sitting in the woods that are seen. There's a developer that owns the land and keeps trying to get permission to develop for a giant housing community, and the plans keep falling through. So, but here's their big show. Let's push and shove and let's rob the train. And the sheriff comes along and he gets them. I think I only went to Carson City once. I think it by a unanimous vote of the Cotter family, it was decided we'd rather go someplace else on other trips. But this was only about maybe 3 miles or so from the Catskill Game Farm. And I think that's where they probably got a lot of their business coming in for people that got up, spent half a day at Catskill Game Farm, then you come and spend a couple hours at Carson City. And they would take a Polaroid picture of you in a headdress and sell it to you.
That's like Red Feather out at Knott's Berry Farm. This guy, I can't remember what kind of Indian he was, but he was their token Indian. And he would stand there and had headdresses, and then he would put a headdress on you and make jokes with you, and then he would have a picture taken, and everybody was smiling.
So we have some young dancers here. Kids very limber.
Disneyland had Indians out there till the 1970s.
Yeah.
Then Knott's Berry Farm put in Indian Trails, and it was there maybe 10 years. When Cedar Fair came in, they shut Indian Trails down, got rid of them all.
Well, again, just down the road from here is the infamous Catskill Game Farm. It was famous. It was a great spot. Again, if you were from Long Island, I think everybody made one trip up there. If you're not familiar with the Catskill Mountains, there's the southern tier of the Catskill Mountains, which was the famous Borscht Belt, where they had all the big hotels, Grossinger's and the Concord, where Jerry Lewis and all those people would come up and play. This is on the northern side of the Catskills, which is closer to Albany than in between the southern tier and the northern Catskills. There's just a lot of little hamlets and towns, and it's very peaceful, but not a lot of tourist type areas. There was a place that was up in this area called Brenner Haven, which was a German that ran it, and his name was Brenner, so he did it on a takeoff of Bremerhaven, Germany. But they advertised very heavily in all the Catholic Church newsletters and magazines that we're right up here, and we have a Catholic church right near Brenner Haven. So being Catholic, my parents and some of their friends took us up to Brenner Haven for a number of years. And it was really a great spot to go to. It was small little cabins that you would rent, and there was a river that went through the property, and that water was always cold. It seemed like even in the middle of summer it was ice cold, to the point where they would sell you sodas and they didn't need a refrigerator. They would just go and reach into the river and pull out a bottle of Coke and pull the cap off, and it was cold. But they did have a swimming pool, which was fed by this exact same water that went by. So you would go in that pool until your lips would turn blue and your parents would be yelling at you to get out. You're freezing. And of course, you didn't want to get out. It was your only chance to go swimming for the year. But there was another place up here, Rip Van Winkle. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was called. It was Rip Van Winkle Village or something, all about the sleeping for all those years. But Catskill Game Farm was the big thing up here. And we were able, it was still open at the point when Carol and I were there. When Margot was very young, we took them there. But they ended up getting themselves in trouble because they found out, besides all these cute little like lambs and everything here, the guy was taking animals, raising them and selling them to people out in the Midwest or the West for captive hunting things. So if he wanted a chance to go and shoot an elk or something, they would, have an elk and it'd be here at Catskill Game Farm, and 1 year it wouldn't be there because it would be on some farm, inside a giant 20-foot fence that couldn't get out, and some guys would come out and blast it away. So that gave a very negative connotation to what everybody was seeing here. Then, like everything else, the tourism in the area just generally went down and it closed. Like the other places that sat there for years, and all sorts of talk about what they're going to do about it. The person that owns it now has restored the former giraffe house, and it's a Airbnb that you can go up there and stay in the former giraffe house, wander around the grounds, and might try to stop by there and see it on the upcoming trip. Let's go back to stay at the Catskill Game Farm. We'll go to an earlier one. That was 1970. Here's 1958. This was, again, typical sort of park at the time. You'd go in and you'd pay your admission, and there's the giraffe, and that's the place you can stay in is the Airbnb. Imagine big high roofs for the giraffe, so the building is quite impressive. But it was a big thrill. You go out there and you spend your money, and the animals would come around and like to be fed. They had quite a herd of animals out there, quite a menagerie. You see the baby in the pouch there. Seems like, boy, being a mom has got to be tough work for these poor kangaroos. Monkey family. That was interesting. I never realized that African porcupines are different than American porcupines. We have quite a problem with the porcupines in our Boy Scout camp in the Catskills. They will eat anything. They just love to gnaw on wood. So every summer it's a repair job to find out what the porcupines have gnawed on through the winter. And you can coat the wood with, it can be painted. You can put all sorts of stuff on it. Doesn't seem to matter to a porcupine. In all the years there, though, I only remember one kid ever getting running afoul of a porcupine. Well, you bring that bottle out there, they're ready. They see you, they're on their way.
This person's camera work is pretty good. And they also spent a lot of money on film.
Yeah, these films have all been stabilized. Basically, I go through a many-step process. The first thing is I try to clean them by hand with something called PEC 12 solution and PEC pads. Let me see where we get now. Parsons, okay. Yeah, I can kind of go through. We'll go to Storytown, and this is an example. In this particular one, again, going through the process. On this one, I clean them, then I scan them, then I run them through a program called Film 9, which does a bunch of bringing the colors and stabilizing them back. Then I'll take them into a Pinnacle studio and I'll edit out the splices and sometimes people walking around with a camera at the ground. I take that sort of stuff out. I haven't done on this one. And then I try to degrain it. Some of them are very grainy, like that Carson City one. So it's about a 5-step process to get them all the way through. But Storytown, again, this was Charlie Wood, which was always confusing to me because I worked with C.B. Wood, who was the guy behind Freedom Land, two different guys, not any connection between them. But they opened up this park. It's just south of Lake George. And it was a really popular kiddie park. Again, done with the thought of the Three Little Bears and Goldilocks and that. Over time, he started adding rides, and he sold the park out to a company, made a bunch of money on it. The company went bankrupt. He was then able to buy the park back, and he finally got a offer not to be refused of something like $37 million in cash, and sold it to the Great Adventure Company. So it's still there, Great Adventure, New York, right outside of Lake George. Now there's a few remnants of Storytown still there that you can spot. I love the train driver going by, his legs up on the top of the engine. But they also bought a lot of remnants of the World's Fair and Freedom Land, where Charlie Wood picked them up and they were there on the property for years. Danny the Dragon from Freedom Land and stuff. So we again went there with Margot on a trip up there, and I've got pictures of her and Carol, being locked up in the animals cages at the zoo and stuff. It's now, of course, it's high-speed roller coasters and everything else. But it is nice that part of the old legacy lasts on. So he started with just Storytown, and then again, you got to keep people coming back. So he expanded and went out and added a Western village to it, a cowboy town.
Maybe they put in a jungle, which was really
Yes.
cheesy.
Yep, Jungle Land. It became 3 parks in one was their big thing. And the Jungle Land one was where they ended up with stuff like figures from the Polynesian Pavilion at the 64 Fair. So again, he's getting all the kids ready to help in the show. Let's go in that saloon. Let's go get that bad guy.
It's fun to watch this family grow up. This little kid, now he's wearing
Yeah.
glasses.
Come on over, join. Don't be in. He's almost in there. Great. No, he doesn't want to be near the bad guy. I gotta get me one of those hats.
I think the little kid is unimpressed.
I've got other movies of this where the giant posse, I mean, the 200 kids are chasing the bad guy down the street. They must have been having great fun. We did it. We got the money back. The little girls got it.
Must have been just dollar bills because it wasn't very heavy.
And of course, we have a train. Train's still there today. Yeah, being able to go to Ghost Town and Jungle Land. That was Boot Hill.
I recall this place had a Jack and Jill that actually tumbled down the hill every 20 seconds.
They
or
did.
something.
You're right. Exactly right. Yep. Here's Jungle Land.
Wow, they had almost all the same lands as like Disneyland back then.
Yep.
Oh,
Hey,
this land was cheesy.
if it works, it works, right?
Yep.
Why do you say it says? Why do you think it looks cheesy?
If you look, there's actually a recording of someone going through it on YouTube, and oh my.
Yeah, you can see his hippopotamus are not quite as animated as Walt's. The alligators are not quite the same. But again, if you've not been to Disneyland, and at this point in my life, I didn't think I'd ever get to Disneyland. Going out there and seeing this stuff, this was great fun. Maybe, well, I think he's
Whoa.
taking a win. Oh, jeez. Well,
Not something you normally see on film.
no. You can see I haven't edited this one. And Mom and Dad thought that was the sort of thing they needed to immortalize. That's just great.
It's to keep the alligators away.
Yeah. There they are.
Kodak, there they are.
Jack and Jill. Yep.
What was the name of this park again?
Storytown, USA.
And
Like I
like
said,
I said, large parts of the original park can still be seen there.
Yep.
You know, all the old make-believe houses and such are still there.
Yep.
This was owned, the same guy who did this built Gaslight Village just up the road.
Yeah, the idea here was that this park closed at 5:30 in the afternoon, and then that way you didn't have to have massive lighting and all that. And then Gaslight Village was right at Lake George Village itself, and that was more for nighttime coming in rides and shows and that sort of thing. So I think Gaslight Village opened in the late afternoon. I don't think it was open in the morning, at least at first. But that was
Yep.
his idea, and somebody joked, he could have built Gaslight Village right here, and his thing was, yeah, but now people pay twice.
Yep. I remember being caught up in that little thing where you went to Storyland and then you later, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Gaslight Village opened up and you moved over there.
Yep. Jack and the Beanstalk. Like I said, Arto Monaco built a bunch of the things here in this park. He and his rival became good friends.
Kid
Oh,
looks like he's about to audition for the lead in A Christmas Story.
yeah. All right, we have another theme park up here. Santa's Village, or Santa's Workshop.
Oh, yeah. North Pole, New York.
Yep. So we're driving on up, looking through the windshield. There's the guy in the very front. The very first thing he's going to do is slap a sticker on your car. This one still exists. This is still up there, and my good friend Bill took his granddaughter there about 5 years ago and said it was still there, and they had a fun day.
I can remember back in the day, the local WPTZ, the NBT station, used to have a call sign where it said Plattsburgh, North Pole, Burlington.
Yep.
And as far as I knew, there wasn't anything else in North Pole but this thing here. So I'm not sure why they ever included it.
Yeah, it's still there. Now that one building they showed was, I don't know why it was so damaged, but here's Bo Peep, and she's got her sheep.
I had no idea it was still open. I'll have to go up
Yep.
there.
Still, yeah, you're not too terribly far.
No, a couple hours would get me there.
From what Bill said, it hadn't changed an awful lot.
They used to have a giant Christmas tree ride. I wonder if that's still there
I don't know.
on their website.
Oh, here's a very involved bird show, Santa's Show House. I got to get one of those hats too. This guy reminds me of Carl Ballantine from, you may remember him on McHale's Navy, but he also did a magic act where things would go wrong. He just looks, the outfit and his face just remind. When I first saw it, I thought, gee, maybe Carl was working in the Adirondacks.
And if anybody is curious, the Christmas tree ride still exists.
And what do you do on the Christmas tree ride?
Oh, it's basically just a spinner. You have cars around the lower end of the Christmas tree, and the tree spins.
Oh, okay.
But they used to advertise it really heavily in all their commercials. You saw people riding Christmas tree rides. You ride in ornaments.
Oh, and ornaments. Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of like that, huh?
Yeah. Wonder how many birds flew away from this act.
Yeah. The hell with you. I'm tired of going around and around. I'm getting out of town.
Go out, go land in the Christmas tree.
When I see the Christmas tree ride, it looks like it's right out of one of those stop motion animation Rankin films. It's white, right?
The Christmas tree ride?
Yeah, or at least the pictures I'm seeing, it's a white.
Yeah,
White Christmas tree?
my
Yeah.
memory has it green in the 70s, but I could be very wrong about that.
Yeah. They could have painted it.
Yeah. Things change.
Hey, after 50 years, the paint faded. Another
Yeah.
wishing well, throw your money in. And then entrance to Santa's house.
I am so happy this place is still there. Just
Yeah,
makes
it's
my
kind of nice to see that some of it has survived. You notice the whale there on the awning? Otto Monaco had the whale boat ride. That motif shows up on a lot of things that he built.
My father worked for IBM here in Vermont, and they had a family day out at Santa Silvich once. That's why I remember it.
And here is the North Pole. It is frozen. It is ice cold. You walk up to it and put your hands on it. And I remember as a kid, I was absolutely astonished because it was so hot that day. And you walk out there and this thing was ice cold.
Huh.
Somebody has had a successful visit to the gift shop. I took out this whole sequence where he's telling her to pose, but he had his hand out in front of the camera waving her, go left, go right, go this. And all you got was his hand and in between the fingers, her. Now, of course, what would you do if something's ice cold, right? You touch it, and then you lick it.
Yes.
Because everybody else has touched it, so.
We had stronger immune systems back then.
I guess.
Now I gotta find out how far this place is. You're starting to use
That
up my
was-
free time, Bill. I'm already planning to go see the Bears from two Saturdays back.
Sign on the deer, go do your Christmas shopping now. This is interesting because this locomotive is actually coal-fired. It wasn't, some of these things run off of propane or they're just like I mentioned the other one, a tram made to look like a train. But this was an actual coal-fired engine.
Don, you'll have to let us know if it's still there.
The Bear Park or Santa's Workshop?
Oh, Santa's Workshop and the little train.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I see a trip there in the future. I'd be surprised if it wasn't there. Whiteface Memorial Highway. Just 94 minutes from my house. Okay, we're off.
Yeah, that would be too close not to do.
On a completely different thing. You know the Akutas, right, Bill? The
Yeah.
Star Trek. They're doing tours of the Star Trek sets. Coming up here at the bottom.
When I went, they were there, and I've got the great picture of me and Doug Drexler. I'm sitting in the chair, and Mike and Doug are standing at either side. I'm giving some obscure order, second start of the morning to the right, or straight on the morning or something. But they're great people. Yeah, Ken Carpenter, he's on today. He and I went up to Lake George and went up to the Star Trek tour together. And Doug was up there giving the tour, and he was like, "What the hell are you guys doing here?"
That was fun to surprise him because I don't think either he or the Yakutas knew we were coming.
Yeah, he's looking at the crowd and he's saying, "Oh, you're going to see great things. You're going to be able to stand on the transporter pad. You're going to be just like, oh my God, Bill Cotter, what are you here for?"
Yeah, we were lucky and managed to catch both Doug and Mike and Denise. It was a great time.
Oh yeah, it was perfect timing, wasn't it?
Don, I was wrong. I was looking at the wrong North Pole Park. This one was Colorado.
Yeah, there's so many of these that shared the reindeer barn. There's so many of these that shared similar names. There's several Enchanted Forests. There's the Land of Make Believe, one word, two words.
Santa's Villages. We have one out here, or we did.
We just reopened up here. Carol used to have a place that was right up near there, and we took Margot there, but haven't been there since it reopened.
Yeah, and there was one up in Northern California as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's one in the Midwest, I know. Yeah. See, that one building is in terrible shape. Try to figure out what happened. Bad wolf got it or something.
Wow.
I don't think we're going to see the Christmas tree ride in this one.
That may not have been there when this was filmed.
Yeah, it could have been one of the additions.
But yeah, this park and Frontier Town and Gaslight Village and Land of Make Believe. Man, Vermont television was just papered with advertisements for those during the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this one is scary. I mean, if I saw this guy here, I'd be running in the other direction. So, Joey, do you like gladiator movies?
Looks like he should be peering out of a drainage thing somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
With a little red balloon.
Hi ho, this is the way you go. And we're going to bid fair, find well. And get another bumper sticker. Like I said, that they would be on your car, just bam, throwing that thing on there. Now, guys, what kind of car is that?
Rambler?
That's a Mercury, isn't it?
Think
Oh, it's a
so.
Mercury?
But
That's
look
a
at the front of
Mercury,
it.
yeah.
That's the way
It's a
all
Mercury.
cars
Yeah,
look up north.
Wow, all of them Briskers.
Yeah. I think we have one more here.
So Don, if you're going to go, it's open from July 2nd through December 14th, it indicates. But if you buy your tickets now, you can save $10.
Oh,
It's normally $39.95, and it'll be. I think I figured out why this was, because it said you save $10 and it's only $31.95, and it's like, wait a minute, how is that $10? But it turned out there's a $1.50 fee that's added on to
Ah,
the base price, and that puts it
convenience
up to
fee.
30. Yeah, convenience fee or something.
so
So
now
anyway,
this one here, again, I go through several steps. This has not been final color corrected or edited or anything. But Enchanted Forest of the Adirondacks. Does anybody know where this is?
I do not.
It's in Old Forge, New York, and it's now Enchanted Forest and Water Park. But if you're a 1964 World's Fair fan, one of the Journal Foods arches is in their parking lot for their main entrance sign these days. So you can go up there and both relive the childhood and go visit the World's Fair remnant.
Dagnabbit, Bill, you're taking up all my road trip time. Okay. Enchanted
It's a
Forest.
beautiful area. Old Forge up there is really nice. Carol and I were up there last year. We went up to Raquette Lake. Every year I would go to college and I'd get to this one turn in the road and Raquette Lake was off to the left and I turned off to the right. And we finally last year went over to Raquette Lake and it was really pretty. We had a really nice lunch right on the lake and they have a steamboat ride that goes out on the lake and it's a really pretty area. Really good to go to. Now you'll see a lot of the signs and everything look like other signs that we've seen other places because again, Arno Monaco helped build this. He didn't mind having competition because there's enough distance between the places that people are going to go to one, might go to the other one, but you're not really stealing people out of one to go to the other.
And you can definitely recognize Arno Monica's style.
Yeah.
These things.
Like I said, if you get a chance, check out the book, which is animatronics, Kiddie Parks of the Adirondacks. There's a number of them that I had never heard of before that the author did a nice job of capturing them. He goes up and down his chair just like Lincoln. But I thought for a 60-year-old film, these didn't turn out too bad.
No. Wow. Yeah. He actually stands up, sits down. That's impressive.
Peter, Pumpkin Eater. Yeah, this, of course, like everything else has been really upgraded. The big thing right now is giant water park. So they have all sorts of rides and everything going with that. And more roller coasters and stuff. Oh, you could go visit the Alamo. Feel like you're back in Texas, Don.
Yeah, it's making me homesick.
Kodak picture spot sign there. She's leaning against. Look at all those souvenirs. Oh, wow. Oh, and they bought them. Got their coonskin caps.
Yeah.
And so does she.
So is this an older daughter that we haven't seen before, or is this a cousin, do you think, that went
Yeah,
with them?
that's good question. I wonder it was a cousin, some,
Because the boy actually looks younger there before she had the second baby.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
either they had an older daughter or this is just a friend, a cousin or something like that that went with them.
Could be
She was
something
in
like
the
that.
earlier. She was in the earlier one as well. Like one
Yeah,
of
we
the
she-
first
saw her
ones.
in another one.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe it's come with us and then you can watch the kids while we go out to dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how much was it to go to these? Was it similar where you would pay to get in and then pay for the attractions?
No, it was
Or
one price.
it's
You
just one price.
Yeah,
And
you
they
would-
weren't that expensive.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's relative, of course. Oh, and then they even have a train line.
Wow.
But it was frankly a wonderful time to grow up as a kid, and go to these places. I mean, you get out of the city for a week or two, go up there, and half the time, well, most of the time, the fun was just going down to the swimming pool of the lake or wherever you were staying, and then as a special treat, your parents would take you out to one of these places, and certainly not the sort of stuff you see back home. So it was really quite entertaining to go to. It's just sort of sad today that everything has to be so over the top done, with boy, it looks like a big pin collector there already. You know, the the simpler time I think again, I was glad I grew up in it.
Hmm.
This is an act that the Nervous Knox did at the 64 World's Fair. Be interesting to know if this was actually them or not doing this up there. I'm in touch with one of the Knox family members. I'll have to show him this and ask. Another Dawson City. And you could pan for gold. What's really weird is you look at it and think that now this little boy here is eligible for Social Security.
Yeah.
I gotta get me a bell and put it on my car. The animals are so attuned to things that when you put your money in the machine, they'll try to eat it right as it comes out the chute before you can even get it in your hand. After a while, oh, if somebody's going to pull on your tail, you want to get the best of the day. back then there were probably no hand wash stations at all these places. Oops, where'd that shoe go?
That was Mark.
It's funny, if you grew up on Long Island, Nunnally's amusement park had a ride with those little hand cars, and you would crank it around, and when the park closed down, somebody bought one and has it in their yard. I'll have to put this footage on the Baldwin page and just say not the ones in Baldwin, but they you have pictures of all these kids would crank like a maniac, and then halfway through we get very, very tired. Working there would have to come out and get them through the rest of it. But they were a kind of neat little thing, you know, as a kid, that you're doing it yourself.
Early prototype of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
No, the motorboat cruise
Yeah.
at
We had one
Disneyland.
of those at Nunnally's on Long Island as well. I think every kiddie park, they were standard equipment.
Yeah, they used to be in all the touring carnivals.
Yeah, and it
Chipmunk.
Chipmunk.
don't see
Very
it
lifelike.
here. Yeah, they did a good job of making them look real.
That Chipper, is that Chip or Dale?
Can't tell the nose there. And then
Looks
we
like
go
this.
to a family event. So I think that was the last one for the day.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, so Donna, you get your map and MapQuest out and starting to plan your route.
Oh yeah, well I checked, like I said, the Bear Park's a little further away, but I'm definitely gonna hit the Bear Park and Santa's Workshop. Probably next, well, Santa's Workshop won't open for another couple of months, but we're definitely heading out there.
Yeah, it's nice to see that some of the stuff survived over time. So it's you know, like I said, when so many of them, there's nothing left of some of them, and you know, whatever I have to go back when we're back there this year, see what they've done with Frontierland or Frontier Town now that they've reopened some part of it. But
Mhm.
so Ken, are you making any trips up to Lake George in the near future?
Nothing planned right now, although this was a hoot going through all these things today because Frontierland and Storytown and Santa's North Pole and all those things we went through while I was growing up. So and Catskill Game Farm, so that's really cool to see all this stuff.
Yeah, the film that I restored for you, what park was that?
There was some Catskill Game Farm in that. I'd have to go back and look, and probably Santa's, the North Pole. At least I think it's the same place. I mean, it was a Santa Land near North Conway. I don't know if that's the right
I think that's
description or not.
I think the Santa's Land is different than North Pole. Yeah, but yeah, great fun over time. So next week, no, and we got through it. The gods of Spectrum smiled on us today, huh? God, I tell you, it's been so frustrating. It is just I've got to go drop off the last modem to send back to them now. But next week, no talk. It's our annual LAPD open house and pancake breakfast. So don't know if you're going to come up to this one, Brock. I remember you came to one a few years ago.
Unfortunately, you can't. We've got something else going next weekend. So,
Oh, I was going to put you in the padded cell and see if you enjoyed it. So, yeah, be back in 2 weeks after that. So, hopefully, no terrible weather has hit anybody or anything nasty anywhere other parts of the country. Again, keep watching the weather reports and go, ouch, atmospheric river and flooding and all the rest of it. And Kenneth, I hope things go well with you with the, I saw your post about threats to Goddard and stuff.
It's insane right now. One can hope it won't get past Congress, but the number of things they want to shut down and the centers they want to close, and it's just the mind swirls, and you just have to kind of let it roll over you and wait and see what happens, pretty much.
Yeah, particularly when they're just making big discoveries like that planet KB, whatever the thing is, the potential life on it.
Yeah, it's and considering canceling the Roman mission, which is about 85% built, would be a total waste of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does that save money?
No, it doesn't. It's just they're anti-science. So all these things are just basically a war on science is the way I'm looking at it right now.
Well, you
Just
save the
nothing to do
money
with saving
and
money.
you finish the money and not saving the rest of it. Like I would be a big fan of saving the money by not finishing the rest of the bullet train out here. I mean, if anybody's followed that fiasco, it's 3 times over budget, 10, 12 years behind schedule. I mean, they've spent billions and billions of dollars and they haven't laid 1 mile of track yet. So it's again, I love trains and everything, but not at the way they're doing that project. So
I didn't even know
That's
that was still alive. I thought
that's
that
one thing
died
that's
out.
very weird about saying we want to cancel Roman, because it may be the first strategic mission in the last 30 years that's coming in early and under budget. I mean, Webb, Hubble, Chandra, none of them did that. And this one actually is on time and under budget. Is like, okay, now's the time to start getting strict about it, I guess. I don't know.
crazy. Well,
Very-
well, hopefully we'll see you folks in 2 weeks, and hopefully the guys at Spectrum continue to smile.
Did they ever figure out what the weak spot was?
They said they were seeing line noise that was coming from somewhere in the neighborhood that was feeding back down at a set of frequencies that they said they could watch it gradually creep, and then evidently something would shut down, and then it would be okay, but it would the noise would keep going up. So there was so much error correction going on that the speed continued to go down.
You know what that sounds like, Bill? A little bit like their experience trying to turn on Mr. Lincoln at the World's Fair. There's interference on the line.
I was actually joking with somebody about that. I mentioned it to a guy from Spectrum about the whole link thing. I said, when this happens, I'm going outside to see if there's either a giant beam of light or a monorail. But yeah, crazy. No, it's been very, very frustrating, very, very annoying. So we have one little happier note. We have trees outside our house that every single year hummingbirds like to come and build a nest. And we walked out there the other day and a hummingbird goes dive bombing, and now there's a hummingbird outside. So this won't be on Don's level, but we've just bought a small camera we're going to go up and mount to look into the hummingbird nest. So
cool.
yeah. So it won't be quite. Hopefully we won't see the same sort of animals Don did, but our version of a trail cam, we're going to try to watch the hummingbirds. They are really high. Some of the nests they built over the years have been like literally at nose level. So you walk out and there's the birds looking at you. This one's up pretty high, but every single year, the past 8-10 years, the hummingbirds keep coming back and building nests. So there's actually. And 2 years ago was really sad. We had very high winds coming that ripped the nest out of the tree. But it is interesting to see them progress from these tiny itty bitty little eggs, and then it doesn't take them long before they're flying. So my project today is get the camera up there.
So it'll be a miniature version of the Eagle's nest up at Big Bear, right?
Yes, right.
The Eagle cam that we have going there.
And
those are, I guess,
sibling rivalry and the others killing one of their siblings, or
Yeah. Well,
wasn't there a condor
happens
cam somewhere too, like
Could
at
be.
our state capital somewhere?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Well, run out, grab some lunch, hang a camera, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Well,
Happy
Bill, are you
Easter
gonna
to those.
Happy
Thank
Easter,
you.
everyone.
Bill, are you going to be there for a couple of minutes and I can give you a quick call?
Yeah, sure. You got the number?
Okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
Right.
All
Bye.
right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.